All right, let's get this show started. There's some kind of weird echo. No? Maybe it's just in my head. Maybe it's all in my head. Maybe this isn't really happening. Maybe it's all just my imagination. There really isn't any kind of broadcast going on right now. Spooky. Just going to share this with a couple of places real quick. Share this on the iRadio Waco page. Speaking of iRadio Waco, if you would like your own podcast with the most professional staff available, with the most state-of-the-art equipment available, if you live or like to travel to the greater Waco area, you too can have your own podcast on iRadio Waco. We will hook you up with a show. Just contact the iRadio Waco Facebook page. So honestly, how could it hurt? It couldn't. I'm telling you right now, it can't hurt. So go ahead and do that to get your own podcast. It's not going to be as great as mine. I'm sorry. I'm just being honest with you. It's not going to be as great as this show. But I mean, honestly, what chance would you have without Randy on your show? I mean, let's all just be honest with ourselves. All right, we're going to go ahead and get the show started. This is the Michael McBrine Show with Michael McBrine, presented to you by the good people at Hot Air. Hot Air Media, of course, stands for Heart of Texas Air. Because the air is bright, deep in sight. In Texas. I don't know. I just I butchered that completely. It is me. I am here by myself right now. My panel members, my esteemed panel members, have abandoned me. As to where their location is right now, I'm not exactly sure. They know the show starts at 11, but they are not here. Probably Brian decided to take another late shower. I mean, I'm happy he showers. Don't get me wrong. I'm very happy he showers. But at the same time, I have nobody to talk to. But that's okay, because there's some things I like to talk about unimpeded. That's a word, right? First off, the name of this show is The Michael McBrine Show with Michael McBrine. This past Sunday, Mr. Joel McHale came out with a show on Netflix called The Joel McHale Show with Joel McHale. The same basic premise to that joke. And these past few days, I've been kind of dealing with that. Now, obviously, Mr. Joel McHale is a very successful comedian. And the chances are he scoured the internet looking for a name for his show and came across mine and decided, hey, I'm going to use that, or are very, very slim to none, in my opinion. It's to even entertain the thought that Joel McHale is ripping me off. If anything, I'd be flattered. But it left me with a decision to make. Do I change the name of my show? And I've ultimately decided no. The reason why I considered it is because I was afraid people were going to assume that I was copying off him, even though if you liked the Michael McBrine Show with Michael McBrine page when it originally came out, you'll know we've had this page up for years. I wonder how far back, like the first post on the Michael McBrine Show with Michael McBrine like page goes. I'm going to scroll down because we had this going back, way back when we were on Deep Ellum on air, which was, of course, years ago. The man himself, Jansen Ray, shout out to Jansen, was the one who was hooking that up. And, of course, we've been on several sites since. That's a tongue twister. including Dallas On Air, and now, of course, iRadio Waco. Still scrolling through. We've just made a lot of posts. For a while there, we took a couple of years off. See, I'm scrolling back to now. I'm seeing 2015. Gosh, I'm really having a hard time remembering how early we did this show. I want to say 2012, maybe? Certainly. Of course, we started as a live show, the Mike McBrine. By the way, I realize this is incredibly boring, and I apologize, but I was really planning on my panel members being here. But we started as a live show at True Love, which, by the way, if you missed that show we did this past Sunday night, you missed a good one. We had a lot of brilliant comedians up there. It was a packed house. You missed a good one. And special thank you to all the comedians who did that show that will never see this broadcast, but thank you anyway. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's fun times, and that's what we're all about at the Mike McBrine Show. So yeah, I'm gonna keep the name the same, and if people get upset about it or think I'm ripping anyone off, then I will simply tell them to go to the Mike McBrine Show with Mike McBrine Facebook page, and they'll see posts from, I'm looking at 2014. I'm scrolling down. I'm not good with social media interfaces on here. I'm having to scroll through manually, which is probably such an archaic way. There's probably a better way I could go back and to like the first original post and not have to do this bit by bit. So anyway, yeah, great. So we have another show coming up, live show, True Love. It's going to be March 25th, I want to say. Let me get my calendar out. March 25th, yes. Sunday, March 25th, if you live in the Waco area or just would like to visit Waco, which is extremely weird because that's a thing now. People visit Waco. If you'd have told me that when I was growing up in this town, I would have never believed you. And it's pretty much all due to Chip and Joanna. Chip and Joanna Gaines. I don't even know. Is it Joanne or Joanna? I've never figured that out because I don't really care enough to know. All right, I think I've gotten to the original post. July 30th, 2014. No, we got stuff before then. Oh, Jesus, how long does this go? All right. This is the most boring show. Hello, Daniel. How are you? I probably ought to open up the phone line so at least I have somebody to talk to. Yeah. Anyway. Good times, good times. I don't know if you checked out our Friday night show. Randy was here. I actually rode in the car with Randy, which was a terrifying experience. Fun times. Have I reached the beginning? No. What else do we got going on? What else do we got going on? Well, I've been invited to sing the national anthem at next year's NBA All-Star Game. I'm excited about that. I asked them, I said, are you sure you want me to sing the national anthem at the NBA All-Star Game? You've never even heard me sing. And apparently, actually auditioning and letting them hear you sing is not a requirement to sing the national anthem at the NBA All-Star Game. So look out for that. They haven't got a date set officially, but I'm excited about that. They told me when I got the job, they said, well, you couldn't do worse than who we got this year. Of course, I'm talking about Fergie. We're having a little fun. This is supposed to be a comedy show. We're having a little fun. Here's the thing about the Fergie national anthem. It was pretty terrible, but honestly, and this, I hate to start things off by knocking R&B. I'm not an R&B fan. I think I've never heard an R&B song that I just really liked. It's just not my style of music. But I will say this, that's what Fergie was going for. And to me, that's all R&B kind of sounds terrible to me. I like hip hop, but R&B, no, it's just used. And if that's what you're into, that's what you're into. That's fine. I'm sure there's not a lot of you that are into Kiss as much as I am, but nobody's perfect. But yeah, I mean, she was more than that. She was going for kind of a sexy rendition of the national anthem, which was just like the worst idea you could do. Like, here's the thing about Fergie. You may not have noticed this, but Fergie can't really sing. She can do that, like, whatever she does in the Black Eyed Peas. You know, there's a reason her solo career never really took off, you know? She did what she did well. What she did, you know, in the Black Eyed Peas, she did well, but no, on her own, no. Yeah, people were not having it either. But you know what? It's like I posted on Twitter, which of course you can follow me at Michael_McBrine on Twitter. When this nation needed a laugh the most, Fergie sacrificed herself. So yeah. We are alone tonight. It's a little terrifying. At least, you know, if I'm murdered or something, at least I have the camera to film it. That's like the saving grace for me, because we're in an undisclosed location. It's a building out in the middle of nowhere. It's in the Waco area, but it's essentially out in the middle of nowhere. And here I am. I'm all alone in this building, and see, if some crazy person, in which we all know there's a lot of those in this country, comes in and decides, hey, I would like to have a victim tonight in the form of you. At the very least, you guys will see it on camera and perhaps bring my murderer to justice. So at least I got that going for me. That was a terrible Bill Murray. That's what I was trying for. Oh man. Yeah. Thing is, when I'm doing this show by myself, actually, let me backtrack a bit. When I'm doing this show, I really don't have to plan, because we could just go off on one topic with my panel members. But when it's by myself, then this is when I'm really starting to think, man, I wish I would have planned more stuff out. And honestly, I've been doing this for 15 minutes now, and I really don't see the point. Because honestly, there's like no entertaining value here, and I wouldn't. Here's the thing: whenever I do any kind of show, especially podcast, especially this show, I always think, would I watch this? Because if the answer is yes, then I'll do it. But if I wouldn't watch it, if I wouldn't care about it, why would I expect anybody else to? And honestly, I don't see myself rewatching this at any point. What's the point? It's just me blabbering on about how much it sucks. So what's the point? It's not funny. Comedy's hard. Don't ever believe anybody when, they tell you like, it's so easy to make people laugh or whatever. If there are people that do that, it's not. It's very hard. You know, you can be naturally witty, but even then, you have to be in the right environments and have the right mood. You know, I heard a comedian once say, "There's a difference between being funny and being a good comedian," and that's so true. Comedy's hard. Stand-up comedy especially is hard. I was listening to a little bit of Kid Chris on the way over here, who I'm not ashamed to say sucks. I don't know if he's a local guy or if he's... I don't think he's a local guy. I think he's hired by whatever media company owns the Bear, the 102.5 station here. And he was doing an interview with Kevin James, and he asked him... But his questions were all over the place. This guy's not a good interviewer. He asked him, he goes, stand-up comedy, it's still your biggest love, isn't it? And Kevin James said, well, it's my first love. You can tell it's not his greatest love because he's not good at it. Stand-up comedy got Kevin James's foot in the door. He went back and tried to do some more and realized that he couldn't. And why are we shocked? Because he couldn't do it in the first place. Hi, Sanchez. We're live. I'm just over here burying people.
How do you get the prompt for it?
The prompt for it?
Yeah.
What's the prompt? What do you mean?
Usually I get a message on Facebook. Oh, Radio Waco is going live right now.
Is that how you read it?
Yeah.
I was actually honestly about to just cut the show because it was just me rambling and talking about how much this sucks with just me rambling,
Yeah, I figured it sucked when you started, you went to the Kevin James. And
Well, no, I was just talking about how I heard an interview with him on the radio. It was an example of that Kid Chris guy on the Bear not being a very good DJ. He's not very good at his job. And, I still can't believe. Why?
I still can't believe Chris Craddock is dead.
No.
Kid Craddock is
Was it Brian or Randy?
That was Randy.
Randy, right?
It's
But no, I can't believe that Randy wouldn't be. Here's the thing. You either got to set yourself up for failure or you got to set yourself up to win. And when I say something along the lines of, let's take those guys' jobs and make them our own. And sometimes you got to have that cutthroat mentality. And you sit there and you say, no, they're good people. They deserve jobs. You're setting yourself up for failure. You should have it's like, I don't know, maybe it's the pro wrestling mentality in me. The pro wrestling, they always say, you should be the one grabbing for the brass ring. You should be the one who says, I should be in the main event every night. Screw everybody else. It's me.
They choose people to be at the main event in wrestling.
Based on their performance.
They be
you
over
might want
with
to talk
the crowd.
into the microphone. I don't know if they can hear you.
Am I talking into the microphone?
Yeah.
No, I mean...
They put you in the main event based on your drawing power and your ability in the ring. Unless you're Roman Reigns, then they just put you there because they want you to be there. But I'm saying it's the same thing where, you have to have that belief and confidence in yourself that, even though, and no offense to Kid Chris, I don't know the guy. Even though he might be a nice guy, F him, I want that job. I should be the one having it because I can do it better. And that's the mentality I have.
Oh, okay.
And I'm confident enough to say that. And whoever Randy's trying to defend by saying, their college education is going to go to waste if they don't, well, screw them. That's their problem.
It took him forever to answer whether or not his college education.
It takes him forever to answer anything.
Yeah,
honestly.
Well, when it's a failure, he's got an excuse for it, and then he's going to tell you what happened.
Yeah, that was pretty funny though. He couldn't answer yes or no.
Yeah, that's all I wanted was a yes or no answer, and
I kept thinking it was one of those situations where he thought it was like, "Have you stopped beating your wife?" question. Are you? Let me ask you a question, Sanchez. By the way, and I hate to get off this subject because I really do strongly believe that honestly, you should want better and bigger things for yourself,
Yeah.
And maybe he's not confident in himself, but I believe that if we had this same crew, we could blow anybody out of the water who tries to do a show. We're funnier. We're more entertaining than a guy who has, a random set of questions for Kevin James that Kevin James doesn't know how to answer because they're just kind of weird. Like I said, no offense to Kid Chris. The few people that are watching this are probably going to listen into Kid Chris, so you're welcome, Kid Chris, for those extra viewers. Or listeners, I should say.
I remember that name, but...
He hosts the nighttime show block on 102.5.
I thought that chick used to do that.
It used to be Nikki Sixx.
Oh, yeah. He stopped. He canceled his show or whatever. He retired.
I don't know what's going on with him. I wouldn't doubt it if he just canceled, because he has that band he's in now, 6 a.m.
Okay.
So he might be on tour. I don't know.
Holding on to that last bit of
I didn't think he completely sucked. He just it was just kind of boring. He didn't suck, but it wasn't.
It's like that's
it wasn't that great.
I want to hear a guy from the '80s, an '80s hair metal band, talk about family life. No, I want to hear you talk about doing.
We want to talk about you doing blow.
Yeah,
and
banging hookers.
Groupies. Hookers.
I'm pretty sure that they all bang hookers. Everybody.
Did you see where they busted a bunch of guys?
Oh yeah, they busted that same woman again from the massage parlor here in Waco.
Yeah. That's a different story.
Oh, okay.
They did a whole prostitution sting in I don't know if it's McLennan County or just our city or what it was, but it was like 70 guys they busted, and one of them, through an undercover operation, they found out was attempting to have sex with like an 11-year-old, and they put the spotlight right on that guy. It was like those other 69 guys. They were like,
hey, we're just here for some regular.
They just wanted to have some sex with the grown woman. Just they didn't mind paying for it. But that one guy, and it was like they labeled them all evil. It's like, oh, they're all evil because they're all wanting to have sex. This guy wanted to have sex with a child, so maybe the rest of them. And it's like, no, it's just that one guy's a pervert.
That one guy needs to be locked away. Yeah. The other guys are just like,
no, seriously, lock that guy away. Those other guys, they were just wanting to get some pussy. It's just as ugly as that sounds.
I mean, it's not that ugly. I mean, they were willing to pay for it, and there was a woman willing to offer them their services.
It's poor guys.
Yeah.
Not everybody has the charisma and handsomeness of ourselves, Sanchez.
I don't know about that. I mean,
not everybody can score with the ladies like we can. Some guys are, kind of ugly and have no charm.
Yeah.
Not that we know anybody like that.
Yeah. Nobody that's
that lady got busted again. What's funny was they gave her age on the news.
Mm-hmm.
She was only 41. I'm like, damn, she's only 3 years older than me. She's got 2 businesses going. I was like, wow.
Yeah, but
is it sad that that's how I interpreted that? I was like,
no.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad. Jeez. I wonder if she was the one giving the tugs. At any point she gave a tug. Or was it just tugs, or was it like full on, like you get to go in there and
as far as I
slap
know,
her around and hold her head in the toilet or something?
As far as I know, it's tugs.
Okay.
And it's funny though, because I don't know did you read the article?
Mm-mm.
I actually read the article, and it was I'm trying to remember the article. It was this one lady who she, I guess, picked up in Austin to come work with her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the real problem seems to be in Austin, because they get these people in from China or whatever. And so that she brought her up to the Waco, and they told her, all right, so if we get one of our regulars, go ahead and give them the extra thing, and you get to keep whatever tip money they give you, right? And the lady was like, what do you mean? What extra? And she's like, since she started showing like a masturbatorial motion or whatever. And then the lady was like, no, I don't want to do that. And she goes, well, you're going to have to do that, or I'm going to keep all your money. And she said, well, I don't want to do that. So the lady kept all the money that she was supposed to be making, and she wasn't paying her at all, but she was like living there at the massage parlor or whatever. And so and she had nowhere else to go. She had no friends or no family. So she was forced to live there and basically work for free. And, and that's pretty awful. And, if someone doesn't want to give a hand job, they shouldn't be forced to have all their money taken away.
And that was a woman doing that too. It wasn't a man putting that shit together for someone to do that.
I think it's really fucked up. Okay, that's
a whole nother breed of woman too. To be able to do that, like.
If you want to talk about prostitution or whatever, that's a whole other. I think hand jobs are so far removed from prostitution. I don't think it's that big of a deal. You know what I mean? Am I wrong? It's sex. It's a sexual act, but it's basically jacking. You're getting jacked off.
I mean, I haven't thought about a hand job since I was in fucking middle school. I mean.
But you see that there is a huge difference between actual full-on intercourse.
It's like full-on. It's
getting a massage.
It's the handshake of the sexual world.
It's just she's gonna whatever and just jack you off, and you're gonna, it's
probably gonna be somewhat unpleasant because.
Well, for her, man.
No.
Really? Why would you get something that was unpleasant? I don't understand.
I mean, you think you might be into it, and then
I see.
She starts tugging a little too hard. Her hands. Her hands are a little bit rough. She starts scraping off your barnacles. Ugh.
Barnacles? What is wrong with you? You have growths on your dick? Ew.
No.
Show me after the show. No, I'm just kidding.
Scraping off your foreskin there.
Yeah. Where's Brian?
What's left of it anyway? Tonight? He went to work.
Oh, he just went to work?
Yeah, so he has to work. Plus, it's fucking cold, and he's a giant shaved bear.
What?
Nothing.
So,
I've been sick all week. So.
Yeah, my whole family's been sick. It seems like we've been sick for the past month. It's just, we get over something and we get something again. They said the price of orange juice has skyrocketed because people are drinking so much of it because they've been sick. Plus that, and there was like crop disease. So
we'll just eat oranges then.
Well, I think it's the same deal.
Oh no!
But I bought like one of those little like a 2 liter, or was it half a gallon of orange juice for like $2 today? So it must not be that bad.
No, it's really not.
No. I got the H.O.T brand. So.
Oh, okay.
Billy Graham died today. The Reverend Billy Graham.
No, Reverend.
Your favorite, Billy Graham. And
I'm a Joel Osteen guy.
What are your thoughts on these kind of televangelists?
If you're stupid enough to fall for it,
you're not a religious guy, are you saying?
No, I'm not a religious guy, but then again, I'm not one of those guys that make it their whole thing in life to be like, oh yeah, look, you're so stupid for believing in God. Oh, Jesus Christ. No, you know what's stupid is wasting your time on that because you're not going to change their minds by calling them stupid. You kind of look like an asshole. And
as dumb as kind of some of these Jesus freaks are, the atheists who are so smug are just the most obnoxious people.
Oh yeah, they really are. It's I agree with you. Why are you making me want to rip your fucking face off?
That's how I imagine, not necessarily religious, but that's how I imagine Trump got a lot of support. Is because some of the liberal kind of extremists were like, I'm gender fluid and I don't have, and I was born a woman, but I feel like I was a man, and if you don't refer to me as it or shim or whatever.
Shim. That's probably my favorite. Yeah. Shim.
Or whatever.
I would call somebody shim if they asked me.
I think people that were either moderate or leaning toward the liberal side, I think they hear all that bull crap and they're like, let's just build a wall. I don't care.
Yeah, but you're building a wall around you with the people you don't like inside.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense. Yeah. No, but that whole thing always like, oh, okay, we get it. You don't like religion, it's.
It took me years to just come to terms with,
like when people say they're gonna pray for you, it's like, what the fuck? Like I've seen people get upset about that. Like I'll pray for you, and they're not talking about they're not doing it condescending. They're like, we'll pray for you. It's like, no, we'll pray for you. Hope everything's all right. And I've seen people get upset with that. It's like, why?
See, you didn't grow up in a very religious house, I don't think.
I grew up Catholic.
Oh, okay.
I went to Catholic school.
Oh, okay.
I see. The thing is no one's gonna make me believe anything, or no one's gonna push me into anything I don't want to do.
It took me a long time to come to terms with religion as a whole being just a scam.
Yeah, it
took me a long time because it's a scary realization.
Well, I think to the people that actually believe it and are actually sincere about it, I mean, if it makes their life better, is it really a scam? As long as they're not hurting anybody else with it.
But I think they are hurting other people.
How are they hurting other people?
Let me explain. You have this influence over people. So if not necessarily yourself are blocking the truth from being known via science or whatever, you're having an
science
influence.
Is always going to be there. They're not. There's. But what I'm
the whole idea.
I mean, it's not the Crusades anymore. They're not going to if religion's not going to bust in the door and say no.
If not for religion, we'd have a lot more scientific advancements right now. Don't you agree with that? Don't you think we'd have some, weren't they trying to block stem cell research for years and years? I mean, think about, and it was all religious based of why they were blocking that, And so what I think is, if you're religious, not necessarily that you yourself are one of these people that say, we shouldn't research evolution. It was all creationism. If you yourself aren't necessarily the one doing that, it may be your children that you're teaching that to, or it may be the people that are listening to you. And so they're going out and they're saying, no, we're not going to listen to you. Evolution, that is a theory that is made by the devil,
And so what? They're not running the world. They're not the scientists.
But they get voted into office, and then they start running the world. And like Mike Pence is a perfect example. Our current vice president doesn't believe in evolution. He says, he was quoted as saying one time, "Oh, you can pay a scientist and they'll say anything."
I mean, but to say that would be to assume that all all are hive mind like that. I have my aunt who is in her 60s now, and is extremely religious. I took her to vote. I didn't vote myself because I didn't want to have anything to do with that. I'm not going to be part of this problem.
Well,
she's and she goes in there. I was like, "So did you vote? You voted red again, huh?" She's like, "No, I'm not voting for either one of those idiots. I voted for an independent." I mean, she's extremely religious, and
I think that people are so religious is because it's such an easy way to explain everything. Because now that I have kids, I had my daughter, who's 6 years old. I don't know how we got on this subject, but she goes, "What is God?" She asked us, "What is God?" And me and my wife were just looking at each other. We're like, we wanted to be honest with her, but then we were like, it's a complicated question to answer. And
she's a kid. You can be like, he's a space wizard. Go to bed.
But see, you can't do that. You can't do that because, then they're going to look back and say, well, wait a minute. I've been taught a bunch of bullshit all my life. Why should I trust you when you're just trying to dismiss me? So we're trying to be honest with you. So Ruth said to her something along the lines of, well, some people believe that there is a creator, somebody who's created everything. And she worded it so eloquently. It was so nice. And then she
it was so eloquent subject. For a woman.
For a woman. Yeah. And then we just changed. We just went on to another subject, and we didn't go back to it. And it made me realize. I think that's how Christianity has perpetuated itself. Is that it's a lot easier to say to a child, "Yeah, the Earth was created in 6 days, and then on the seventh day He took a break, and then there's Jesus, and then there's a heaven, and yeah." So kids
I learned all that stuff growing up. I mean, nothing. It didn't make me resent anything. I mean, I didn't resent people.
No, but I'm saying
I don't resent those people looking back on it now.
What I'm trying to say is
most of the people there were genuine people.
It's an easy answer to give a child, so they just shut up about it. Instead of having to explain, oh, it's a scam, Yeah. And
I mean, for the most part, too, like religion and being an atheist, it's sort of, choosing a side. And I don't really like to choose sides. I like to ride the fence and laugh at everybody. So
Yeah,
I get to laugh at the overbearing atheists, and I get to laugh at the holier than thou Christians.
So when I woke up this morning, I read the news that Reverend Billy Graham died, and he was 99 years old. And I just thought, man, he just spent his whole life, preaching about, stuff that was written thousands of years ago, that has, that we know for a fact most of it was made up, and it just made me just, oh yeah, well, if you look at the history of the Bible and the way it was written, a lot of that stuff wasn't written down, especially the stuff about Jesus in the New Testament. It wasn't written down until.
But Jesus as a person existed, right?
Well, I'll get to that in a second.
I'm pretty sure the
stories. There was I just read this thing online that said there's no historical evidence of Jesus ever existing outside the Christian historians, like the Christian historian. I mean, they say the problem with that is if they're Christian and they're already going to research this, they've already committed to the belief that there was a Jesus, and they're going to look for stuff for that. But they said everyone else who's
history's written by the winners.
Yeah, exactly. they took the accounts of people that lived during that time, and there's no historical evidence of a trial or any public appearances or whatever. So there's not. I mean, the whole guy could have been fabricated. I hate to, it sells because just like you, I grew up in church. But I feel so slimy for even saying that.
No, I don't feel slimy at all. It's just like I've actually done I've done a little research myself.
If you do a little research, you find that a lot of it was just made up bullshit. Because the accounts or whatever.
Now, is this like? Let me ask you this.
All right.
And I need you to be honest with me. Is this like, okay, I have an idea of what I believe. Now let me find something that backs that up. And with no self-awareness whatsoever. Or is there self-awareness behind it?
Behind what exactly?
Well, it's just like a lot of times when people do that, like, and this is, I'm not saying this is what you're doing. It's like, I have an idea. I have in my head what I think is right. What I know.
Oh, no, I think it's quite the opposite. I want there to be evidence that Jesus really walked.
I don't. I want people to fight over it. I want the people to fight over it forever.
I want there to be
so much fun in other people's chaos.
I want there to be concrete evidence that all this stuff happened. But researching it, you find out that a lot of these stories weren't actually written down until decades after the actual events supposedly happened. And then they were edited by leaders of the church. In fact, we know for a fact the part in the Bible about the resurrection was completely made up by the leaders of the church at that time because they felt it was a better ending to the story, because there was resurrections in other stories at the time, and they felt they needed to have a resurrection, which is half of what everything in Christianity is based on.
So what was the actual time frame of Jesus' life? If there was,
0 to 33 AD is what.
0 to 33 AD.
Well, that's when we started the whatever.
Yeah, I know.
Year system, obviously.
Well, I mean,
2,000 years ago, give or take.
I mean, I don't know. It doesn't really keep me up at night, and I don't get upset at anything that has to do with religion.
I do get a little upset because I believe it's a lie that's been perpetuated, throughout the decades, throughout the centuries, and it's basically designed to keep the poor people from rising up.
Oh, that's what it is?
That's what it is. That is exactly. What's one of the things the Bible teaches? You're poor now, but your kingdom awaits in heaven. That's what they always say. It's like the first will be last, the last will be first. And if you're poor,
that's what it means, because that's Jesus in the stories. I mean, I can remember some of these stories. I mean, Jesus was pretty helpful to the poor people. I mean, he was kind of a person of the people. I mean,
which is why
we should all.
It's really messed up when you see these Republicans trying to argue against taxing the rich. It's often the opposite thing of what Jesus.
I don't know anything about that. I mean, I don't know anything about
what conservative politics are. It's all about keeping the rich rich and the poor poor, and they all do it using religion. specifically Christianity. You know?
I mean, yeah. It's just a different weapon. I mean, the liberals use progressiveness as like their, like we all,
Well, hold on a second.
I mean,
Progressiveness in a
anything when
negative
weaponized
connotation.
can be pieces. It can be shitty.
What's that?
Just like the whole PC thing, like.
Oh, yeah.
They use that, and they try to force it down your throat.
And that's what I was saying earlier. I think that turned a lot of people toward Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I mean, like you see it on both sides. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I just don't like politics. Period. I don't like either side of the spectrum.
Are you keeping up with any of these students protesting for?
Yeah, I mean,
tighter gun laws.
That's fun. That's okay, I guess. I mean.
You know,
I really wish I could feel for anybody, but I am so detached from the world that, God.
Do you ever think you just might need some help?
What do you mean
with like your mental health?
What do you mean? I don't have
this like borderline sociopathic.
I don't ever want to. I never have thoughts of harming anybody. I don't have thoughts on harming myself. I mean.
But the lack of compassion toward your fellow man, I know.
I get it, but like, I can't really talk about it because I feel a certain way about it. Like, I know, like, I get it that those kids are scared and angry, upset too, but like, like, there's a part of me that just believes there's a lot of.
Well, more than anything,
like if I was in school right now and I was like, say a middle school walked out. It's like, and I had, there was a shooting that happened. And everybody's walking out for to protest gun violence. Oh shit! I don't really care about gun violence. I just want to go get out of school.
Well, see, I kind of laughed because
it's like all these kids got out of school, man.
They're trying to organize. At least I read this. And I doubt they have any much success with it. They're trying to organize a national walkout of school, these students. But the date they picked...
420, exactly.
420.
Oh, dude. Someone's got to bring that to someone's attention.
Yeah.
It's like, hold on. No, we don't really give a fuck about people getting shot in school because that didn't happen to us. I really didn't care.
It undermines their whole movement.
Yeah, and especially, too, let me just say this, and it's not just like... This only happens in white schools, predominantly white schools. I mean,
well, I went to Waco High, which is a predominantly black school, and there were shootings up there.
Not school shootings.
There were people with guns.
There were people with guns, but
I can't really honestly remember if there was one was discharged or not. I honestly can't say that.
It's not the same thing. Usually, when someone goes to school in one of these inner city schools, they're going for one person. They're not going to go out and take somebody out. It's beef between people. Like.
Michael Ian Black, one of my favorite comedians, he wrote a guest article for New York Times. He pointed out, you ever noticed, it's the young men who are shooting up the schools. He said, why is it that you never hear about young women shooting up schools?
Oh, because you got to keep reminding them which way to point it.
Jesus. I didn't have a chance to read the whole article, but I want to say the gist of it.
Proud of myself for that.
The gist of it was that he was insinuating that young men are kind of being robbed of their masculinity, and they're trying to overcompensate now.
Yeah, because that's what women want. I'm sorry.
It's always women's fault, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, this generation, most of them have been raised all by women. I mean, a lot of them, like especially in the community I grew up in, there was a lot of single mothers. Yeah. And most of the kids that I grew up around, they grew up vindictive and, very quick to anger and very quick to, jump down someone's throat. That's basically, that describes every girlfriend I've ever had.
I think we're all in agreement that the real solution to all our problems is to build a wall.
Oh, so no, anyway, more guns. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I don't mean any of this shit. I'm talking shit on women that don't even fucking be.
That was Randy's solution. Remember, he said we should have more guns in the school.
Oh, jeez, we should have more.
Try that shit out in some inner city schools. See how well that goes.
Fucking idiot. Like inner city schools, that's the safest place to be in America right now. As a high school kid, the safest place to be is an inner city school. You might get your ass kicked every day, but hey, man, I mean, You know, you may be the next Lady Gaga, and then you can like complain about being bullied your whole life, even though that's what made you the star you are now.
You know way too much about Lady Gaga, by the way. Well, you want to talk about something more kind of a lighter topic?
No, how did you enjoy my little interaction with the guys in a Ringside Review comment section?
I didn't remember. What did you do?
No, nothing. I just.
What did you do, Sanchez?
I was just fucking with people. I was y'all were talking about heat or something. I was like, why is no one talking about the ongoing heat between Baron Corbin's forehead and hairline?
Actually, I scanned through it. I didn't see anything. Were you posting as hot air?
Yeah.
Or? Okay. I just need to take you off of there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Most likely. Because I'm trying. Every time I go in there, I'm hoping it'll glitch out or something, and I can post as myself.
You're supposed to be able to post as yourself.
It won't let me.
Oh. I'll remove you.
That's fine.
For your case, for your sake. So I don't know if you saw they had footage uploaded to the internet today of Ronda Rousey's training in WWE. Did you check it out? She actually looks like she's going to be fine. Of
course she's going to be fine.
She
already has a history in grappling.
Well,
anyway,
you got to understand. There's been people that have tried from other sports to get into WWE.
You gonna tell me Dan Severn? Dan Severn runs a school right now.
Rampage Jackson, I think.
No, Rampage Jackson. Rampage Jackson only did it for a little while.
He tried to go to TNA.
Yeah, so did Tito Ortiz, but they only did it for a little while because there was just a buffer in between fighting.
But what I'm saying is they didn't, they weren't standouts by any means.
They were only there for like a month or two. Yeah. Like they weren't there to stand out enough.
They weren't. You don't think they flamed out? You don't think?
No.
Okay.
Oh, this is before TNA was even televised. I mean, televised on like national TV instead of like paper week.
So I saw Ronda taking face bumps. I saw her what?
Taking face bumps.
Yeah, face bumps.
I saw a porn parody where she did that.
Ronda Rousey was in a porn parody.
No. There was a porn parody with someone that was supposed to be her, and it's like,
Well, anyway, it seemed like she, all that MMA training, she transitioned over nicely, and she's going to do just fine. And she looked very believable in the ring. I mean, of course, she's going to look believable. She's Ronda Rousey. She was doing reversals, and she looked like she had her technical stuff down, which is awesome to see. So I was skeptical at first, but after I saw that, I'm like, wow, she's going to be okay.
She's a black belt in judo. She's got throws and like fucking slams that like you've never seen in your whole goddamn life.
Yeah, so I texted Seth today. I was like, well, she's going to earn that paycheck. How much are they paying her?
I don't know.
It's got to be ridiculous.
Probably way too much.
More than Dolph Ziggler? Is it more than Dolph?
Oh man, Dolph would blow his fucking brains out if you found out how much she was making.
I had a list of like the top, like highest paid wrestlers, and I want to say, Undertaker was in the top 10.
Huh?
Undertaker was in the top 10.
He's not number one. Was he ever number one at one time?
Oh, he's bound to have been. But anyway, I thought it was funny because he only wrestled once last year, but he was in the top 10. Which is kind of, I think it's a waste of money. Here's why. Did you tune into WrestleMania last year for Undertaker?
Mm-mm.
You tuned in?
I never tune in for Undertaker.
Okay.
I know that's blasphemy. I never tune in for Undertaker anymore because I'm not looking to see an old man try.
Well, what I'm saying is, if they were going to pay him all that money, they should have put him on a pay-per-view that doesn't draw a lot instead of the one pay-per-view where you don't need him. Does that make any sense to you?
Put him in Sold Out or something.
They already have Brock Lesnar on the card. They have all their top talent in featured matches. It's WrestleMania, so WrestleMania itself is a draw.
Put it in your bastardization of the Great American Bash.
How old is this article? I looked it up. I just looked up top wrestlers. Oh, this is from 2014.
Wow.
Well, no wonder. Because it just started out with number 10, Mick Foley, and I was like, whoa, no.
Was it in the WWE or in all of wrestling?
Well, at that time, he was making appearances in WWE. $15 million he was making that year. By the way, have you seen his daughter?
I try not to look at other. I don't know. I remember seeing her when she was like young.
His daughter is so gorgeous. She is beautiful. Anyway, let's see if I can find. How much do WWE executives make? Says Triple H. Guess how much Triple H made?
Way too much.
Year? Like just a ballpark. Can you guess?
25.
According to this website, this was published in March of last year. $1.1 million is basic salary, and then $1.65 million in yearly talent contract, and of course his in-ring appearances. So he's only making, a little over.
That's still too much, given considering his skill set.
Vince is making $2.4 million.
Okay. Oh man, that's gonna be like, it's gonna rack my brain forever. For the rest of my life is like, how did someone who's not good on the mic, who's not that great of a wrestler,
the Triple H,
who didn't even have that great of a look.
Well, he married the daughter of the boss.
Like, how did he? Like, goddamn, like,
What do you mean? What do you mean didn't have a good look? He was roided out. Oh, Vince loves that. I didn't realize
even then he had
Goldust made so much money.
Goldust is fucking. I love Goldust.
Goldust made $725,000.
Oh man, dude, give that man $1 million.
Dolph Ziggler was making $900,000 before.
Oh,
that's
God.
Before the new contract. I'm pretty sure I know why he re-signed. Big Show $1.2 million, Sheamus $1.3, Randy Orton $1.6, Undertaker $1.75, 7% bonus for high merch sales. Brock Lesnar $3 million. Yeah, Brock Lesnar's the top, $3 million, and then John Cena's $2.75 million.
So Brock is making more than John Cena.
Yeah, well,
even though he sells more.
The real question is Brock still a draw?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think when he first came back, it was like, and then he was a big draw.
Well, I think a lot of the mystique went away too when he got popped for roids.
I think he's still a draw somewhat, but for all the money they're giving him, it's not that he's not worth that much. I think if he wasn't on the Royal Rumble card, it would have done just as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason they need to pay him $3 million a year. So he'll be gone after WrestleMania.
Like, I don't mind him doing like the Goldberg thing, like popping up once every 3 years or so. Like, just come in here and like destroy people and then go on your way.
No, I prefer that because I think if Brock Lesnar was there every night, he'd get boring.
Yeah.
But as it is, he's like this, almost like, I hate to say gun for hire, but it just, I can't think of anything else to call it. But his matches are always entertaining. I mean, Seth sits there and complains about Brock. He's so over Brock Lesnar. But, I mean, honestly, his matches are always just, there's certain level of excitement that goes way up with Brock Lesnar matches. So, yeah, I think it's, I just don't think he's worth $3 million.
Oh, no. Not at all.
It'll be interesting I don't know what they're going with, like this whole Dolph Ziggler thing. I really don't know where they're going with that.
They're not going anywhere, man. They're just.
I don't get his gimmick. Was like, does he have ring music now, or is he still doing the whole?
I think they keep him around because they just like fucking with him. There's a part of me that believes that. You ever like?
Oh, they do that to guys.
Yeah,
that's for real. They will mess with guys.
Yeah,
instead of just firing them.
I think that's what they're doing to Dolph. I think they're just
they put a belt on Enzo, and they didn't like him.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? I think it was the night.
Enzo. I mean,
it was the night. I think. What's his name? The Lucha Dragon guy, Kalisto.
Mm-hmm.
Kalisto came back, and he was going to be the next big challenger for Enzo's title. And they did this thing where all the cruiserweights took turns beating up Enzo in the ring. And it was all just because they didn't like Enzo backstage, and they just wanted to mess with him. And it was just, it looked pretty barbaric. But then they put the belt back on him after that. WWE is such a weird workplace,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've always felt running a wrestling company is not hard. It isn't. It's just you have a lot of stupid people who don't know how to make business decisions at the top.
You got a bunch of egos you got to deal with.
That's a problem too. Even in the local, when WAW was doing shows, there were people that had certain views about the creative direction the company needed to go in. And that's why there is no more WAWs. It was too many cooks. You know, we got too dependent on outside promotions. I say we. I wasn't in the inner circle. I worked my way close to the inner circle. I was the commissioner toward the in run, but you know, it was just a name only. That was more of a character for me because I could actually talk. If there's one thing I can do, I can talk in the ring. I may not be the best looking person out there, but I can talk. But yeah, there was just guys. I remember my first show that they said I could book it. They said, we got the talent, are all going to be there at this time. Get there a couple hours before you can book it. Do whatever you want. And so I said, okay, I want so-and-so in the main event. I want you to wrestle this person, you to wrestle this person. And I'm not going to name any names because I'm not going to bear anybody. But they were like, they said, no, I'm going to wrestle this person. I said, well, no, that doesn't work for the story we're trying to do tonight. But no, don't trust me. We're going to wrestle this person. I said, no, because that throws off my whole thing. Because we're going to have you wrestle him, and then we're going to have this other person in the main event, and then you're going to get revenge on them in the main event, or whatever it was. I can't even remember now. They're like, no, I want to wrestle him. I was like, are you serious? I said, well, no, I'm running the show. I'm saying you're wrestling him. And they're like, well, then I'm going to take off. And I was like, well, fuck, what am I supposed to do then?
Tell them to leave.
No, if I tell them to leave, they're going to be pissed.
So?
They're going to leave.
So?
Then I'm going to have to answer to the top guys. And he was like, well, why did you,
I mean,
we paid him to
the
come
question you
to
should
go.
be asking them, you shouldn't be asking yourself any questions in that situation. You have absolute power. You're the one writing this. You're the one putting it together.
You got to understand. I only had about 10 guys that night to
that's
wrestle.
fine. That's fine. Think of something on the fly. I mean, like, first off, the dude, if someone's acting like that, they're acting like they've sold shows out. I'm guessing these guys have sold shows out, or they've been stars and
Not really.
Okay, then they have no.
There were certain other details.
They have no
I don't
cards
wanna
to
go
hold.
into.
They have no cards to hold. You're just being a baby, in a onesie.
No.
Sweaty baby in a onesie.
There's certain other aspects of it.
Okay.
Like they're friends with, I think they were friends with the person that was letting us use the ring. So the whole show would have come to a complete stop if I didn't give in to their demands. Plus, at the end of the day, I
would have canceled the show. I would have been like, you know what, fuck you.
No,
fuck
I didn't
everything.
want to cancel the show.
I would have canceled it.
At the end of the day, it was just easier just let them do their thing and just rewrite the show than sit there and argue with them.
What do you mean rewrite the show? Fuck that.
It was just easier. It was,
I mean, were they good wrestlers?
Yeah, they were some of the better wrestlers on the card.
Oh, that's not what I asked. I mean, you could have a shit card and just be like, they're the better wrestlers on the card. The card's still shit.
I'm not going to air dirty laundry, but I'm saying there was a situation where I was just saying that's an example that even on that microscopic level
you
of
realize
a local
kayfabe is dead,
promotion,
right?
What?
Kayfabe is dead.
Even on the microscopic level of a local indie promotion, there are issues like that. But like I said, if I was the one signing checks, handing out cash, if it was my ring, my promotion, I would have told them to take a hike. It wasn't. I was just there to book the show, and they wanted to do their own thing, even though it was a detriment to the whole show. Well,
that's the nature of independent wrestling, isn't it? They're just there to make themselves look good. Hopefully,
they're there to get themselves over.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's why I kind of don't really like it. I'm not 100% sold on the whole indie is the best sort of thing. Like, you're just out for yourselves, and you're not out to make an actual good, story or anything like that.
It's not that. I don't think it's that. I personally think it's that hard. Me and some of the other guys have been talking about relaunching WAW, and I told them, I said, if we relaunch it, there's certain rules going into it. And one of the rules is, I want to have complete creative control. If they don't like it, then we're not going to do a show.
Oh, there you go.
And if it's not me having creative control, somebody else, just one person having creative control, because that's what really hurt us in the past. Is there were so many guys that had so many, like, I'm going to do this, and I was promised I could do this, and this and that. And it got out of hand. Well, this has been an interesting show.
So I wouldn't deal with that shit.
I didn't even record this show. Damn it!
You didn't?
It was broadcasting live. I think I can pull it from Facebook. I just don't know how.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got some good shit out the way. I made a total fucking ass of myself.
Yes, you made another enemy tonight.
Oh, what?
You made more enemies tonight. So
I made an enemy last week or Friday, didn't I? Or me and Brian did.
With Randy?
Huh? No, you didn't see the comments on.
No, what was the comment?
Some dude was like talking about like, if I saw those dudes I'd smash their face. Like,
about you guys?
Yeah, about me.
How am I missing these
about
comments?
me and Brian? Because I guess he knows Randy, and he's like, Randy's like he's like Randy's slow or something. He thinks Randy's retarded, I guess. I think Randy's not retarded. He's just he's stupid.
He's not retarded. He's stupid.
There's a difference, man. I've met people that are like, they for the most part they speak well. They they have.
I wish I had friends that come to my defense like Randy has. Jeez.
What?
Nobody cares about me. Somebody called me retarded. They'd be like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" I'm looking at the comments right now.
Should be towards the end of the thing.
It's toward the end because I'm not seeing it.
You know
to be honest, if I knew one of these people or met them, I'd be stomping their face. If y'all are disrespectful as N-words, he doesn't deserve to be treated any different. So this guy knows Randy personally.
I guess so. Brian met him this weekend by accident. Because apparently he works at the Cefco.
Oh.
In West.
Were there some...
he was there with Randy. And I guess the dude didn't say it. He said the dude was looking at him weird.
Oh, really?
He's like, it's no big deal. That dude's small. I could have crushed him.
The guy was... I'm looking at his profile right now. He looks like... Oh, he's just a kid. I like how he talks a big game. I'd smashed her.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, you missed a good show this past Sunday night. We had a packed house.
Dude, I just totally slept through it. I was so tired that day. I really wanted to go. I had some new shit to talk about.
We had a packed house.
Because I was really upset that the McDonald's announced that they're taking the hamburger out of the Happy Meal.
Well, they're not taking it out. They're just taking it off the menu. You can still order it.
Yeah, but it's still like, a lot of people's like, it's no longer the menu. It no longer exists.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, brother. No, let me tell you something. They took, they changed up the fries a couple of years ago, where it used to get like a little small fry in the Happy Meal, and they changed it to like a little half of a small fry, and you could get that half fry and a yogurt, or I think like apple slices or whatever, or you could get double fries, and just basically it comes out to an equivalent of a small fry. It wasn't on the menu, but if you could still order that, and you know what happened? So many people just started ordering the double fries, they put it back on the menu as a choice. So what they're going to find out is that after this doesn't pan out like they wanted to, because I mean, my son likes the chicken nugget Happy Meal, but honestly, I think the majority of kids want the burger Happy Meal.
It's more substantial. You get more than just like 4 little fucking nuggets.
What they're going to find is they're going to eventually put it back on the menu. It's going to be that should be like.
You remember the Mighty Kids meal when they started putting double cheeseburgers in those kids meals? Oh my god! And like I was like 200 pounds. I was like 200 pounds at the time, so I was thinking like, God damn, I wish that shit would have been around when I was a kid. It's like
but if you look at the calorie intake of a cheeseburger, it's not. I mean, you certainly get more fat off of fries.
You can give your kid all this horrible food every now and then. Just don't use that as their fucking like main source of fucking nutrients.
Don't supersize them. Don't do it every.
No, I mean like you can take them once every month and supersize it. But, like don't fucking take them there every fucking week.
Every week is fine.
Once every week? No, I don't.
No, that's fine.
I wouldn't be able to.
As long as you're feeding them, as long as you're feeding them healthy foods all the rest of the week, I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think sometimes kids need to understand. Like everybody needs that. Everybody needs a little times where they can just like what, fuck norms. I'm just gonna fucking eat this fucking juicy ass burger, and I'm gonna be a fucking like, I'm gonna be so gross about it too. I'm just gonna, Everybody just needs that because some people are afraid of this shit nowadays, man. All kind with all the diets that are going around, and every food now is bad for you or it's gonna kill you.
See, the thing is, kids, especially younger kids, they're bouncing around anyway, so they're gonna burn it off anyway. They're exercising.
Yeah, let kids be kids. God damn it! I mean, shit. I saw something the other day where they were talking about why don't people let little kids play with brooms? Little boys play with brooms. I was like, God damn, you shouldn't be even letting little girls play with brooms, man. That's the most boring, fucking stupid toy I could think of. Like I like my kids cleaning up the house for me. No, fuck that. Fuck that. I'm not gonna like. I understand why you. I understand why you do it, but when someone's saying it's like they should play with it, like as it being progressive, like you're letting them play with that shit like that, it's like no, fuck you. First off, girls shouldn't be playing with that shit either because they should be having fun. They're fucking kids. Don't fucking put a broom in their hand. Man, it's like one step removed from like fucking working conditions in some fucking third world nation.
Well, my kids think it is fun, so
that's bullshit. It's because you tricked them. You fucking warped their brains into thinking. You tricked them, didn't you? Into thinking that shit was.
My kids think vacuuming is awesome.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Well, no, you gotta understand. When kids think they're helping out, they get really proud of themselves. So you gotta know the way kids think. Anyway, we've been here for an hour, or I've been here for an hour. What was happening to Randy tonight?
Those